this is where we're going to kind of get kind of nerdy here as we get into the digital world and see the types of restorations and how we connect to all this stuff. And I wanted to kind of show some slices digitally of some of these components to see how everything is actually held together. But you guys know about like digital library files, like your different implant companies have digital library files. Go download the library file. What the library files are really just like STLs and pieces that are brought in with exocad or whatnot and brought in to use. So this would be like the internal section of a hybrid, a temporary hybrid, a bar, something where this is going to slide over the multi-unit and a screw is going to come down through the cylinder and it's going to engage, and then this is your little lip right here where that screw head is going to grab right onto here, and it's going to hold down that whatever onto the piece. And so this is Mesh Mixer. It's a slice. Here's your implant analog. There's your multi-unit platform, and then this is the part of the channel. But once you take that piece and you add it in there, you can see what's actually going on inside of this restoration. So like your screw is going through the channel here, engaging into the multi-unit, and it's biting down onto this lip right in here, and it's holding your component onto the multi-unit. That's like your little lip right here. And so all of that is built into the library files so that labs can go mill out a bar or mill out a custom abutment or mill out or print out a hybrid that directly incorporates that, because one of the new terminologies for like milling and printing is called going direct printing or milling direct to multi-unit platform. So you guys might have heard that terminology. It's essentially incorporating these files into a hybrid where your hybrid literally lays right down over the multi-unit and screws down without any sort of metal component inside of it. And I'm going to show you here, and this will help explain it a little better. But lots of different ways that this can be done, and I kind of tried to grab some photos here and show you. But traditionally, printed hybrids all incorporated these tie bases where you had a printed or milled temporary or PMMA, or even a full monolithic zirconia hybrid, and you'd actually have to take these tie bases and lute them or glue them into the prosthetic, and then that tie base actually incorporates that lip of that screw. That's what's actually holding the whole thing down. But then the weak point becomes the bond of your prosthetic to that tie base, and you hear the horror stories of full arch monolithic prosthetics that the tie base comes debonded, and so debonding is an issue for guys that do that. When you're doing a metal bar, you're really not worried about any of this, right? But for guys that are doing full arch monolithic, that's a problem. And so the concept of like milling or printing direct to multi-unit platform is coming up, and you'll see what I mean by that in a second. This is the traditional multi-unit screw. So these little tiny screws, Dr. B was alluding to, these guys are tiny, they fall, they drop, they get lost, they're like really, really small. Usually they're like you torque to like 15 Newton centimeters, so you're not torquing that hard. This is a Rosen screw. So this is a really cool screw that we've been using that allows you to do that printing direct to multi-unit. So it's a screw that'll hold your prosthetic down straight onto the multi-unit with no metal tie bases. And so the beauty of that is you can go and just print a restoration that lays right down onto the multi-units, and you can screw it down because it has this wedge effect. So I'm going to play this video here, and this is on their website. Let's see if I can get out of the way. But here's a slice. You can see how this works here. This is wedging. It's got this tapered effect, and it's going to wedge right down and wedge the prosthetic to hold the prosthetic directly. This is printed material directly onto the multi-unit platform. So you don't need tie bases, big clays. But the screw is pretty new, but it's really cool. Like, we've had good success with it. And here's why you can't do this with the traditional screw, is because that little tiny lip right there that it holds it on, it puts this pressure on this lip, and that'll break. So if you think about printing this tiny little lip there inside the channel and using a regular screw, it's not going to work. And so that's why these new screws are come on the market that allow you to print a restoration directly onto the multi-unit platform and hold it down. So you can get these screws on the website. You got to buy like 50 at a time. They're like $9 a screw, so it's like $450 for a pack of them. But it allows you to design, and you can use this with your lab. So you tell your lab, hey, I want a hybrid. I want it to use the Rosen screw library. And that way, when they design it, it's got this channel already in it that you just print it, comes right out, you put the screws in, you can screw it right down onto the multi-unit platform.
Are you using these with your titanium framework?
No.
Restoration?
Yep, good, yeah. So the titanium framework would always just be this. And because the titanium bar is basically like, it's all metal. So you got metal onto your multi-unit. Yep. And that little lip is metal, is fine with metal, right? We know that that works because that little tiny lip can be milled in metal and it's strong and it'll be held down by that little guy. But if you take the metal out and you've got just printed resin, milled PMMA, and even sometimes the full monolithic zirconia mills, you can't use that screw. And so that's why they came out with this screw, because the problem was the screw in that little lip. So.
Where are you getting the library for each particular implant type?
Yep, good question. So you just go on their website, and they've got the libraries ready to download for their lab to download. So I just told my lab, hey, we want to use this library, and it's got the ExoCAD library, and then it works with the Nobel, the standard Nobel multi-unit platform that most companies use. There's a few companies that have their own proprietary multi-unit connection, but most of them use that standard Nobel traditional one. And so you just send that to your lab and say, hey, send me a design of a hybrid with the Rosen screw library. And then you can bring it into your printer and print it off, and then take it right to the mouth and just put the screws directly into your print. And it's going to wedge it. You know, you saw that taper, that conical effect as it wedges it on. So, you know, here's a tie base, here's a Rosen screw, here's a Powerball screw. So Powerball screw is kind of the same idea. This other guy, Jonathan, developed this. These are kind of two competitors right now. Some guys are using this, some are using this. I haven't had any experience with this yet. So, you know, two options. Traditional multi-unit screw inside a tie base. Can't quite tell what that is, but traditional multi-unit screw.
Now, is this mostly in an effort to get away from a thimble bar restoration as a final? Or are you using Rosen screws on temporaries?
So,
Provisionals.
yeah.
Provisionals for now?
So it's really, well, he designed it for provisionals, and he designed it for actually full monolithic milled zirconia hybrids with no tie bases. So that could be, you know, some guys are using that in a final scenario.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Monolithic, but
So you're still doing a conversion in the mouth, but then you're delivering another one, like a week or two later, that's corrected, that has this Rosen screw in it or something?
yes, I've done it a week or two later. I've done it after integration, and you want to do a long-term try-in. We've even delivered to patients as like, hey, long-term restorations, right? Like go home, function with it,
See how long it lasts.
see how long it lasts, right? And you could break down your fee into, hey, surgical phase up to one of these, and then, hey, the thimble bar is this. You could, you know, they might function on this for a long time, and you just keep reprinting them, you know, every 6 to 12 months, depending on their habits and inclusion. You know, time will tell on as far as how long this stuff lasts. But the point is, the printed resins are getting stronger and stronger and stronger, and nicer and nicer and nicer, and we're able to just print them and screw them in. You know, where that leads, I don't know. And how long you want to have them wear these, like, kind of up to you.
Wow, why can't they? Is it because the metal bar is cast, the titanium is still cast, or is it milled? It's because the Rosen screw library can't get incorporated into metal because they don't mill it.
It's not needed.
Just not needed.
It's just not
It wouldn't
needed.
hurt either, right? Would it matter?
No, you might get a cold weld effect though.
Yeah.
That would be the problem, is that you get that.
Paper like that.
Yeah.
Weld, right?
I would.
Too much.
It might be too much.
Even though they're just finger tightened, right?
Right. Yep.
And then unless you do it with your hand.
Yeah. I can't see an advantage though. So I can't see an advantage of that. So this is an example of a patient that came in and we put implants in, we got all the data the day of surgery, right? Like all that data on the master cast, the scan bodies, everything to the lab. And that the data went to my lab and they designed me a Rosen printed temp overnight. So literally the next day I walked into work and the design is in my inbox and I printed it, and that afternoon the patient came in. So 24 hours after surgery, she came in and I had the temporary conversion prosthesis that was pretty crappy. I knew it was just like quick and dirty pickup. Take it off, now take your nice Rosen temp that was designed by the lab, printed by me. So in 24 hours it's screwed in. It's still their healing prosthetic, but super nice. So, and she loved it. So this is my lab. They sent me, there's the data. So you can see all that data in there. There's the scan bodies. We acquired this data through what we talked about. There was the temporary that I made, right? So that was the chunky temporary that was made. This was a non-guided case. So you can see implant positions are not ideal in this case. Here's what they send me. So they send me this green. This is the temporary hybrid that they designed. And this exocad viewer, this is all on my iPhone, just with screen recording. Really cool app. They can send you the scene. You can view it on your iPhone. You can check out all the exocad files. You could comment back. You could annotate, screenshot, annotate, send it back. And then this is what they send me. So this is the temporary design, the STL, and this got printed by me the next morning. So upper left, there's it turning translucent up there. So you can see the Rosen channels. See how it tapers down inside there? Those are the Rosen channels. There's right off the printer, didn't even take the supports off yet, and I put the pink on. This is, what material is this? I forget. I think this is Bago, the Bago material. Here's the wash station. So there it is, coming right out of the printer. And then that's after we added the pink. So we're going to do that today. And then here it is in the mouth. So this is next day after surgery. You can still, the sutures are still up there. So there's the occlusion, and this is just the temporary. So pretty cool. You could do next day turnaround for printed direct to multi-unit restoration.
They're pretty sore too, though, right? You're gonna have to get them all numb and stuff. You don't want to mess with that.
Yeah.
Or the risk of maybe torque on an implant. You gotta be a little careful with
You gotta
how
be
much
careful.
you want to mess with that.
Yep. Absolutely. Both considerations.